Joining me now, Don Jr., host of Triggered with Don Jr. on Rumble, which is outstanding, by the way. Okay, Don, another indictment. There's still more coming, apparently. There's another one coming from that George Soros piece of trash down in Atlanta. I know this is about old news for you guys by this point in time, but it's not my dad. He's my president, but he ain't my dad. It's your dad. What's the son think at this point in time?
Honestly, Jesse, I think we're built a little differently at this point. After 7 years of Russia, I'm like, I spoke with my father. I was like, oh, now they're coming after you for the death penalty. It's like, join the club. They tried doing that to me when they wanted to accuse me of treason, and the head of the Intelligence Committee did so on national TV numerous times, 5 years ago, 6 years ago during that whole hoax. So, it's not a normal response. But that's where we are. This is what we've gotten used to at this point. Strangely enough, these indictments, they always break exactly one day after what would be otherwise major scandal if we actually had a media rather than regime propagandists, et cetera. So this broke the day after Devon Archer. The first time that they showed credible funds, that was the first Mar-a-Lago indictment. Then you had, sort of the Biden sweetheart deal for Hunter Biden for, tax fraud, for crimes, and then, minor blanket immunity for anything else he could have ever possibly done, just thrown in the mix with this little plea deal. The day the judge is like, wait a minute, why would we do this? This makes no sense whatsoever. They add more indictments to Trump. Of course there's going to be more, because apparently the 460 years and now apparently the death penalty added into it is not enough to slow down Donald Trump. They have to go further. It's a sham. It's real. But that's why we have to stop pretending that these people are decent people, that they have morals. It's why we have to fight the game the way they do. Otherwise, they're going to win. And we're not going to recognize our country very quickly.
Don, I'm glad you said that about the sham thing, because when I'm trying to wake people up to how evil these people are, and I'm telling people we need red state AGs to start arresting Democrats, and people are, oh, Jesse, you're being over the top. I get the sense that there are a bunch of people on the top and bottom on the right who look at the ridiculousness of the charges and dismiss it because, of course, yes, they're ridiculous. Yes, but these people don't need real charges, and especially in that court system. These people are dead serious. They're coming for him.
Yeah, listen, if they get the win, they'd put him in jail for the rest of his life. It doesn't have to be real. But, in a D.C. court, you think they're not going to get what they want? I mean, that's the desire. It's why they tried doing the Florida stuff. They tried putting it in D.C. originally so they could shop for a jury that doesn't care about the rules. It's just their way to get Donald Trump. And you're right. The Republicans, I'm watching the Republicans and many of the other Republicans, frankly, running for president in this primary. They're adapting the Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney, January 6th, Adam Kinzinger talking points because it suits them really well right now. But what happens one day if and when, and I hope it never happens to probably not all, because there's been one or two that have actually been decent, but the rest of them, I hope they never assume power, because guess what? It's going to happen to them and they will have done nothing about it. You see it with Ron DeSantis a couple of weeks ago when it first started happening. I remember, well, the weaponization of our government, that's not really real. Yesterday, I will take on the weaponization. Like, no, you won't. You're going to do whatever your billionaire donors tell you to do right now. You flip-flop on every major issue, whether it's what you told Tucker, and then you flip-flop on Ukraine 3 days later. What's really sad, Jesse, is you're right. I'm realizing we have no bench. We have no people in the lineup with balls. Frankly, the only other person I've seen out there actually fighting the insanity of what we're going on is Vivek. So the people that I actually had great hopes for, because, I want us to have a deep bench beyond Trump and in the future for 28 and beyond. I'm realizing they're just part of that same weak rhino establishment. And until they wake up to that, or until we have guys with enough balls to actually get in the game, it's over. And, that is scary. Because these guys are sitting back and watching their own demise in the hopes of, whether, I don't know what they're looking to do. I guess, go from 0.02% in a primary to 0.03%. And maybe that gives them the conservative talking point guy on CNBC role or so. I can't quite figure it out, but it's sad to watch.
Don, let's say Trump wins again, which obviously, we have to have him or any of the Republicans to win to keep him out of prison. So there's no options to lose now. Where do we get the people that have to be put into this federal government? Because we have so many scumbags, even from his administration. Bill Barr can't stop trashing the guy every single day on TV now. He made him AG. Every day Bill Barr is on NBC telling the world what a piece of trash Trump is. Where can we find decent people to take critical roles like AG, like head of the FBI? Do they exist?
Yeah, they exist. I think that's the one thing that, coming in as an outsider, that's the one thing we did not know. And frankly, there's a big learning curve. You saw that the first 2 years of his presidency, we had the White House, we had the House, we had the Senate, and they got almost nothing done. Paul Ryan, a Republican, basically prevented the funding of the wall to get that going because he wanted to be invited to the cool person party in Washington, D.C. at Christmas. Sorry, over the holidays. I don't want to offend anyone. That would be part of, that party. But that's what it was. So, it took a while to figure that out. You go in there, you assume that, hey, these people want what's right for our country. I used to think that of many Democrats. Hey, maybe we disagree on some things, but we still want what's best for our country. If you've been watching, that's not true anymore. The hills that the radical left today, and that's everyone that's in power. There may be moderate, good, blue-collar Democrats out there in America, Jesse, but they have no actual representation because you can't win without the Soros money or the LA money or the New York money or other money to get elected. So you have the inmates running the asylum. Whether it's the trans crap, the men and women's sports, every level of lunacy, just total, release all the criminals, what could possibly go wrong? It never ends. And so it took a long time to realize that these people don't care about their country. It's not their duty and they're serving. That's all. They're serving themselves. They've done so very well, and they're going after Trump because he's the only threat to the power that they've amassed. If you took these people from government and you put them into a regular job, 99% of them would absolutely fail. And yet, they're some of the most powerful people in the world with never having signed the front of a paycheck, never having made payroll, never have had any real responsibility. They've been great at being bureaucrats. They're like Anthony Fauci. He was never the best doctor. He was probably not even an average doctor, but he was sure good at taking credit for something that was a success. He was good at getting on TV. He was good at making himself a hero, even though he'd been wrong about everything for 40 years. That's where we are. And so it took a long time to figure that out, but now we know. Now we've seen it. And that's why they're going after Trump far more than they even did while he was president now, because they know that a Trump armed with that information, with that knowledge, with that experience is a true threat to the deep state and to the uniparty.
Yeah. Don, wishing you and your family the best, man. Praying for you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.